What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another Shade Tree Garage video. So today we have a 95 S14 in the shop. This is a buddy of mine's car. Super stock California car, so it's got all the emissions on it. We are going to be turboing this thing. It's set up to drift, as you can kind of tell. It's got a GK Tech angle kit on it. Does great in its stock power form. We have put a bunch of clutches in it because that's kind of the weak point. You don't get to see them in this form that often, and especially with what we're going to be doing. I'm going to have you on a tripod because I can't record everything because I still have to, I need to get this done. So this won't be a guide or anything, but yeah. Anyways, we're going to transform this little beast and do a very nice clean KA-T. Here's the parts: ISR exhaust, coil rad, ISR intercooler, battery box, intercooler kit. We've got some goodies from ISR, ARP, new fuel filter, some chase base stuff, Tomei parts, Works parts, fuel pump, GK Tech parts, some Defi parts, Tomei turbo. This is the big one right here, a Jazz unequal link manifold. This can be set up in bottom mount or top mount. It's got a billet collector on it. I believe this is one of two or something that has been made right now for KA. Have an S14 ECU, but this thing is going to sound crazy, especially with this 8270 Tomei. That is basically meant for the KA. You can tell because of the way that it is. I'm recording this on my GoPro. Oh, we also have cams. So either way, we're not putting that in there, but either way, this stuff's coming to this little car. So this should be very exciting. But I'm going to start with just getting this thing ripped out. I think I'm going to leave the harness in the bay. But I'm going to pull the motor on this one just because it's really greasy. I'd love to get it cleaned up. And then getting the pan off is always a bitch on these just because the subframe. We're going to be coming out the bottom probably with this. But I'm going to start getting stuff disconnected and try to get this motor out of here. So let's do this.
Okay, so I didn't record any audio for this part, but under the car, what's happening is you want to disconnect the drive shaft and the exhaust, basically. If you're pulling the engine out the top, you have to basically take off the entire exhaust with the header. You don't have to, but it'll make it easier to swing it. But anyways, the transmission harness, transmission plugs, and I like to disconnect it at the right front, up by the engine. The harness, the steering shaft, drain all your fluids. Right here I'm taking off sway bar, tension rod mounts, fan shroud, and then I loosen the belts. I don't know why I loosen the belts, but I think it's because I thought I was going to have to spin the power steering pump if I was going to leave it. On the sides, you're going to want to take off the coilover to the knuckle bolts, and then I just swing the calipers and hang those onto the coilover suspension or like your strut, and you'll see the whole assemblies like to fall down right there. Over here, I take off the intake evap lines. You'll see the evap right at this little canister in the corner. Some cars have those, some don't. And then I like to do the fan shroud next, and that should just come right out if you got the lower portion off. Go ahead and disconnect your fuel lines, heater lines, unplug the harness in the fuse box, and basically the harness that's coming from the engine to the fuse box, I like to unbolt it, unclip it, and that stays with the motor. The brake booster line, and then the hard line that comes with it. The power steering reservoir, you can just swing towards the exhaust like what I did there. You don't have to drain it because that's getting dropped down from the bottom. The top harness that plugs into the injectors is going to stay with the car. All the rest of the harness is going to go with the engine. So like the lower harness that goes to the fuse box, the charge harness, as well as the under the intake harness. Swing that away from the engine. Let's see. After that, just basically look around it and make sure that you're clear. Doing them from the bottom is really nice because you don't have to mess with the intake inside of the car, and it'll make your life much easier. Go ahead and do your lower hose, and I think that's pretty much it. And from here on out I talk, so it should be better. So thanks.
All right, guys, I got the preview on. Boom, boom. Okay, so this thing, hopefully this isn't too loud. I'm gonna speak kind of high Actually, you know what? I'll turn it off. But the water noise may make some of you need to pee. That's just how it is. Okay, so this thing is, I believe, ready to pull out. We've got the fuel lines off. We've got the evap little line coming off, all the vacuum stuff. Steering shaft is out. AC lines off. We're gonna drop power steering system with it, so it's not drained or nothing. It's just looped in because these mount to like the subframe. So since we're taking it from the bottom, we get to leave all that stuff on. We've got our harness to harness, wire to wire connectors going from the fuse box bottom to there. Charging cable that goes to the battery and the starter. The charger, alternator and the starter, I apologize. That harness, we've just got it flipped up behind, kind of under the brake lines. We've got our vacuum line right there for the brake booster just chilling. And the transmission harness is disconnected down there, so the harness can come freely with us. The shifter is in the position that we want it in order to get this puppy on out. Really, it's gonna just drop straight out. We'll just leave her there, probably in third gear or whatever it is. Let me raise this thing up and then I'll show you the bolts that will be taken out. And then we're also gonna position our hydraulic table, probably with a jack stand in the back. And then we're just going to lift the body off of this here KA, fellers. Should be very straightforward. The suspension's gonna look weird. Don't worry, we're not loading that up or nothing, or any joints. We're not ruining any bushings. It's gonna swing down because I have it disconnected from the tension rods and the coilover. But since these are Heim joints on these GK Tech kit, they have no real, resistance. So they can just swing on down, don't worry. We're not hurting nothing. Calipers aren't anything special, so we're not hurting it in any way. All right, let's see here. So I'm gonna take 2 of these guys out. 2 of the 4, and then, so see, we have 4 mounts right here. I'm sorry, my POV was messed up. I'm gonna take 2 of them out and just let 2 chill. And then our subframe bolts, they're studs that come through the frame rails. We'll leave all those in, but those are where we're gonna be taking it off, and these can just dangle here. Again, barely any force on these. They're just chilling. We're not hurting this thing in any way, so that is good. That is good. You just want to make sure that you're clear. You see what I'm talking about? Just want to make sure that everything's unplugged. You can almost see a pathway through this thing. You want the same thing on this side. Steering shaft's got to come off, or not the steering shaft, but the universal linkage that goes right there, and that's because she hits on the exhaust, and when we're shoving a turbo back up in there, she's really going to hit. SR cars will hit that if you're not careful. So, plus it's got to come off because the rack's coming down with it. And one of the reasons that we're pulling it, customer's really not requesting that we pull this puppy out. It's just going to make the job way easier. And like, see all this crud and crap? Man, if my name is attached to this, we want to do this right for this guy and make sure this is looking good. So, you know what I'm talking about. Go get the freaking jack. Go get the table. Come on now. Thought you were here to help out. Jesus Christ. So my setup on this usually changes a lot, but if you don't have a hydraulic table, don't worry. Any table works. Set it on a freaking toolbox with a lid shut. It doesn't matter. Especially in this case, it's not that heavy. And then plus, you could just use jack stands. So if you've got access to a lift or quick jacks, or you want to raise it up 4 foot, just look how people do engines and stuff on F-body Firebirds and stuff in their yard, and you'll get some inspiration about possibly doing them from the bottom. She ain't as bad as she looks, okay? You can always just put jack stands under the sides of, the subframe, and one back here on the transmission. Have somebody jack the car up with a cherry picker or something. There's ways, there's plenty of ways, but I'm gonna set it on this here table, and then I'm gonna hit the tail shaft end of the transmission, or the output side. I'm gonna hit it with that guy right there. So, let me pull the old locks on the girl. Oop, I hope I didn't hurt my mount. Okay, good. We're going on down, fellers. And I'm gonna have to weasel my way under there a little bit. That's just part of it. That's just part of the fun. You could do this up higher if you have a lot of confidence that everything's unplugged, but never hurts to check. Let me make sure I'm lined up, and I'm gonna set a little weight on her. Oh yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Okay, good deal. All right, we've got her loaded up now. Easy there, buddy. Great. I may just have to let her chill. I could lower my table a little bit, but I'm just gonna, yeah, you'll see, you'll see, you'll see. All right. Dang, this already has a 17 on it. I was not prepared for that. Not used to doing this with a camera on my head, so please bear with me. There we go. All right. I need that. Whew. Let me make sure the camera's still positioned right. Oh, of course, dude. We know exactly what we're doing here. All right. Now, snoop behind. Oh yeah. Oh, we've lowered that before, and I remember one's just a scotch different. Oh yeah, there she goes, bud. Jesus. Switch sockets. That one was not an 18, guys. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna lift the car off. I like to roll them a little forward, but keep in mind I got a jack back there. Again, searching, making sure we're not connected nowhere. Okay, it's very important. If that looks like a connection, that's a zip tie. We're good, I tell you. Okay, let's just up a little bit. Let's see how she's looking now. All right, nothing's tying up here. See what I'm talking about? That line drops with it. These guys are good. Good. And our transmission. Our dingus end. Oh, I tell you what. Dingus end is good. All right. All right. That's. There you go. Right on. Right on. There we go. I'll leave her there right now because I need to get me a thumbnail. So let me get my camera. Oh man, the light behind it's gonna wash this out. Oh, actually, it's not. Oh yeah. Gotta get a lengthy one. Okay. These are pretty even as far as like, you ain't gotta really worry about it tipping back at all. Thanks to where the gas tank is especially, which is like right here. I like to get that guy nice and high, but we are gonna, typically if you wanna be very careful on lining this thing back up, it's not as much of a pain, even with jack stands, it's not as much as a pain, or of a pain as what it sounds like. So typically you kind of wanna just leave it there, because that way when you drop the body on, she's perfect. We're not sweating that at all, because, well, I need to get in the engine bay and get that thing ready for turbo stuff, drilling holes for intercooler piping, radiator swap, washer tank delete, air box delete. But from here, to make this easier to move in my case, I've got a transmission right stuck to my dingus, or the dingus stuck to my, I got a dingus stuck to my unit here. Catch my drift? So we're gonna yank that baby off. Luckily these pups aren't too heavy, so yeah, but that's it. So now get her ready for turbo things, boys. That's it. I don't know if that's part one or what. Forgive me as I have the pups out here, but we got the engine off yesterday, or the engine out yesterday and then off. I put the subframe back in because I wanted to be able to roll this thing out, because I'd like to pressure wash the bay, just because the subframe's really nasty, which I could have done off the car, but then I'd like to clean up these like the body panels in there too. Hopefully the paint doesn't spray off with the pressure washer. Here is the engine. Looks pretty good. Definitely had an AC leak of some kind looking at the hoses, and then we also had an oil leak somewhere, like the pan, it looks like. Quit it, Rowdy. Knock it off, buddy. Everything else looks pretty good. Luckily he got new belts because these pups are shot. Pretty clean little KA block though. The back of it's real nasty. I already took the rear main off. It's gonna need a rear main, just because it's so gross in there, and there was enough clutch material in there from the blown clutches that's what's probably eating that rear main up pretty bad. Them and their stupid ball. So yeah, anywho, that's the update for this. We got it off, got it out. Now I'm gonna break this thing down a little bit. Got to get that pan off of it, install a turbo drain. I'd like to clean up the block. The block doesn't look like it's gonna need painted, so that's good. It's not really rusty or anything like that. But we do have to do a lot of deleting on a lot of this stuff back here, just to simplify it for race car reasons. Definitely had a couple of vacuum leaks too. That's right on the fuel pressure regulator. It'd be all right. But yeah, that's the update. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in on another episode of this, or another episode of Shade Tree Garage. And I guess we will get this damn thing swapped, turboed or whatever. Get this thing turboed and get this thing really making some tire smoke. I'm super stoked for it. Like I said, thanks for watching, and catch the next video, probably of this thing being cleaned up and us starting to do the turbo parts. I'm not going to record like the taking stuff off probably, just because not a whole lot of point. Probably seen that a dozen times, but yeah.